Oh, yeah, baby. We've been waiting for this one for a while. A New York Jets legend is about to grace our airwaves. Nick friggin' Mangold. We'll talk about, of course, his legendary career and his legendary second act of his career. More on that in just a second. Let's roll, baby. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans. Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show. Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby. For me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. What's up, everybody? Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Let's get right into it. We got a special guest for the very first time on the show. A New York Jets legend, baby, and a fellow bearded enthusiast. So let's bring him in. Nick friggin' Mangold here on the show. What is up, Nick?
How we doing today?
I'm fired up, Nick, because first off, of course, Nick friggin' Mangold, of course, but Nick.
Please.
Yeah, Mangold 74 BBQ. Let's look at this, baby. Let's get some of that action on screen, huh? Look at this.
Beautiful looking.
Yes, this is nice. And Nick, if I read this correctly, again, more details at mangold74barbecue.com here, that you kind of mirror the sauces to your children. That's kind of like some of the inspiration behind some of what I have here in my hands. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that was kind of where we got after I made the first one, the original. And then we got into the whole process of like, let's do barbecue sauce and have fun with it and everything. I was like, well, I have 4 kids. Why not try to come up with 4 sauces? And so it's one of those things that it just kind of grew organically. And it's a lot of fun. The first 2 are my kids, or my boys. The first one's the original, and the second one is spicy because it's a combination of the original, but then it's my second boy is he's a goddamn firecracker. I'm sorry, I don't know if we can curse or not, but
you can say whatever you want on this show. Yes,
he's a firecracker, and so like it's one of those things where it was like that's a perfect fit. And so now coming up with my girls, I got 2 girls, and trying to have my youngest daughter's done, and waiting to roll that out with my other daughter. Honey barbecue is a tough flavor to hit because you want to get the taste of the honey, but you don't want it too sweet. And I think I feel like as a home cook, narrowing down like how to make it, the flavor without the sweetness is very difficult.
Well, it's something it seems like in my research of this product and looking into it, seems like you're someone that is prideful of putting this together and you putting your name on this and wonderful beard as well as part of the logo here. Very nice. Is that as you put this as a part of the equation, you didn't want to just pump out any honey barbecue. If you're going to put your name on it and you're going to be representing this and this is your business of choice, that you want it to be right. That's kind of what I'm pulling there from your commentary, that you want to make sure it's right when you crank out some of these other sauces.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing. The original sauce was that I made that up in my kitchen. That was me being an egotistical maniac. Said that I could make a better sauce than I can buy, and so went into the lab of my kitchen and stuff together and tried to come up with something fantastic. And so that's my recipe. It wasn't some company that came and said, "Hey, put your name on it. We'll sell it." They get it. That's my tried and true notebook, with the handwritten recipe that's in there. And so that's how every one of them goes. And that's why I think the last one is the hardest, because I'm struggling getting it right. And, I think I would like to say it takes a really big man, and luckily I have the size to go with it, to admit when they struggle. It is a struggle to try to nail it down, because you get too much sweet and it ain't right. And it's a tough balance.
So how are you trying to, I guess, well, you left the low-hanging fruit, push it over the goal line, so to speak. What is the missing piece? What are you waiting for? Are you testing a lot of different stuff in your kitchen to try to find what exactly is right before you push that out?
Exactly. It's the testing and trying to figure out, and the other thing is, my kids, God bless them, they at least enjoy my cooking somewhat. But if I keep pushing barbecue on them every night, they're going to kill me. So we have to go in waves, where it's like, all right, we're doing barbecue tonight, so I can try out a new one. It's not an everyday thing because they would probably kill me.
I see. Well, we value your life, and I'm glad you do as well to mix up the
Yes.
variety in the diet with some of that as well. Again, people can order online right now, mangold74barbecue.com, or even shop locally at select retailers. More of that information is online there as well if you guys would like to. Again, $8.99 a bottle. Throw a little shipping and handling on that. Merch, shirts, long sleeve, hoodie, hat, beanie. I mean, we're all over the place here,
Hats,
Nick.
the whole gambit.
Yeah. The apron, kitchen towel. Nick, did you think at all? And maybe you didn't because you're an offensive lineman, but I don't want to try to poison your answer. As although I just tried to do that while you were in the breadth of your career, did you ever think that maybe with the power of the Jets, the power of your position, that you could have used that to kind of help launch us a little bit, or was this more so a hobby during the career and then you took the next step after?
No, it was definitely a hobby during the career, and it wasn't until I think 2 years after I was out where my partner and I were talking. He was like, "What do you want to do?" And that's when it became, the idea came into reality. I wish I would have thought of it while I was playing. Might have gotten a little bit more pub and press and everything, but we're doing what we can, and it's a lot of fun. And actually, the really exciting part is for the past 2 years. It's been in MetLife Stadium for Jets home games, and I believe we're rolling it back for a third year in a row. There's a barbecue stand in the concourse where you can get a pulled pork sandwich with the barbecue sauce. That's really exciting. Do more content with them to pump it up a little bit more, but it's neat to be able to say, hey, listen, this is something that I enjoy and I get to share it with everybody. And so to have it in the stadium where you can get 80,000 people coming through and say, hey, I want to try that, is pretty special.
Again, no matter what your flavor, we got a little sweet with a little heat action or a whole lot of heat with a little sweet. So either way, we cover our bases with the great people out there. Again, mangold74barbecue.com. We'll get to more of that in a little bit. Again, grilling, glazing, dipping, a lot of choices, a lot of options out there for the great people. Let's get into a couple of variety of other Jets topics here, Nick, and we'll sandwich it. We'll do a nice barbecue sandwich and get that back on the back end there. But I don't know if you know this, Nick, but you are the last Jets offensive player to make the Pro Bowl in 2015. Not sure if you're aware of that fun fact, if you were. But
that's a fun fact, but also a sad fact.
Yes.
Right. we need a little bit more offense. Although, I think Wilson has a chance to eclipse everything. He is a fantastic player. So I'm hoping he gets his due as it comes along. Because and I'm not biased because of my Ohio State connection. I swear. But he is he's a great receiver. He's a great person. So I'm hoping he can take that mantle soon.
So, yeah, I guess that's where I was going to go. My prediction time is going to be who is the next to break it. I guess Garrett Wilson next year, healthy Aaron Rodgers. That checks off the bucket list?
I would hope so. If Aaron stays healthy and is slinging it around, I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a huge year. You already won offensive rookie of the year. That's a big step. So game has already kind of in people's minds a little bit. And then if he can get some of those numbers to go with it, I think his success would be great for the New York Jets.
Well, Nick, since you've retired, it's been a little bit of, a revolving door at the center position. The Jets have been trying a lot of different things. And I'm going to be honest, as a Jets fan, Nick, we were spoiled. 18 years straight was Kevin Mawai or Nick Mangold. Did you guys have any, I know that he ended, you started, so I guess it was just kind of by nature that happened. But did you guys ever have any conversations after the fact, like, whoa, 18 years, not too shabby? The Jets kind of had the batches, hatched down there, that things were pretty locked down for you and Mawai. Jet fans, again, we were spoiled. I don't think we knew that in the moment.
Yeah, it's always interesting the dynamic of what Kevin and I had since he was released before the draft and went to Tennessee. So it wasn't like we ever played together, but that having the continuality, I guess, of us going back to back is very interesting. And I feel like there for a little bit he wasn't really a big fan of um, me coming in because he did have quite the legacy here. But I think since then we've gotten past that because again, I didn't cut him; it wasn't my fault. But and so he's been great. And so being able to talk with him a little bit, and it is something special. It's something that we like to have our own little club. John Schmidt, name the center. He's still around. And he was always coming around to practices and everything. It was great to see him. So having that history of the center position with the New York Jets and being a part of it is pretty cool because it's something, it's your own little microcosm of a whole team. And we've had some great ones run through this organization.
Yeah, I could understand. That makes sense. When we're looking back in history, there could have been some choppy waters there. But I'm glad after the fact that we step back. It wasn't your fault, for Pete's sake. But that overall, you guys can look back at your shot because Jet fans certainly do. And, not to try to force who's the next Nick Mangold? Who's the next Kevin Mawai? But, I think fans are hoping old Tippy there, old Joe Tipman, can be that guy. I know you get to do a lot of work with the Jets, with EA and Bart Scott and everybody on some of the pre-shows and weeks leading up. What's your take on Tippy? Do you think he can help? Again, you guys have set a high bar here. The red carpet's rolled out there, but can he kind of try to carry the torch a little bit here for the future?
Yeah, listen, I'm excited for him, and I don't want to put any undue pressure on the kid because, again, I'm not biased, but a Big Ten center is a great person to have in your arsenal. So I think that, Tippmann's doing a great job. He's coming in, and he's got great length. He can bend, he can move well. He's got good strength from everything I've heard. Has a good grasp of football. Intelligence, and so that's always great to hear. And I'm hoping for the best because that is what I've always said. From the moment I think I joined the organization, and throughout the years now. Let's see, that was 2006, so it's 18 years later. Anything I can do to help this organization win a Super Bowl. And obviously I wanted to do it while I was playing, but now out. And not having a hand on the field, but anything I can do to help the organization win the Super Bowl because it's something that would mean a ton to me, and I wish could have done it playing. So the fact that hearing good things come in, and if there ever is an opportunity to help out there, I'll gladly take it because it's something. I mean, and listen. My son just turned 13, and born Super Bowl Sunday in 2011, which you might recall we had just lost to the Indianapolis Colts, I believe. Or no, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh was the second one. Yeah.
Yep, Pittsburgh. And they were playing Green Bay, and I sat there with my son in the hospital watching that Super Bowl. And now 13 years later, we have yet to have a playoff game.
Yeah.
So he was born into this life, and he's had 13 years now of no playoff experience. So I feel that pain as a fan. Obviously I went through it as a player, but as a fan as well, watching my son go through it. This team, Super Bowl, and again, whatever we can do to get there, that would be huge.
Nick, is there any thought that, because Jets, Aaron Rodgers, we go to the playoffs next year, kind of I guess he'll probably be a little heavier than a baby, but, kind of Simba, Lion King holding him out to the MetLife, Jet fans kind of holding him up there to show him his first playoff experience, a home game, no less. Maybe we could get that happening. You probably still lift weights. You could probably still get him up
it'd be
there.
Great. I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to pick them up. I've gotten old and crusty these days, but I never got to experience a home playoff game,
Right.
And so I can't imagine. I think we got close in 2009 when we were playing the Bengals that last game to get into the playoffs. And that kind of had the feeling of a playoff game because it was a win or not, and it was home game at the end there. And so that was electric. That was at the old stadium. And so it was to be able to have a home playoff experience. It's got to be wild. Like, I would love it.
And Nick, so of course, we got you in the Ring of Honor. Thank goodness, about damn time, as far as I'm concerned. So we get you in the Ring of Honor. That's a notch on the belt. You ever think about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, there, sir?
No, I don't, because I have no control over it. And so that's something that, really, I've been on the ballot in the beginning. I've been one of the people that's been thought about to get to the semifinals. And so that alone is pretty cool, because you never, like, I didn't go into football being like, I want to be a Hall of Fame player. Like, I want to play football because it was fun and my friends were doing it. And, so to be able to play long enough and do well to even just to be in the Jets Ring of Honor is something that is unbelievable. So the NFL Hall of Fame would just be it would be amazing. But I'm not holding my breath. Those people that vote on that. I was kind of part of the lost decade, coming in 2006 and ending in 2016. So you don't have those accolades of the all-decade teams and stuff like that. But it is, and centers don't have stats, like, tough. But it's something I don't lose sleep over, because early on in my life I was told, you worry about things that you can control and things you can't control, you don't worry about. And I can't control that anymore. I played on the field, did the best that I can to try to win. And so at this point, you just sit there and everyone, when it comes out in the fall that, you're on the list of people that they're considering to move on to the next level, it's pretty neat because you see some of the names that are on there, and some amazing players, so including that group. I know it's cliche, but it's nice just to be nominated. But it's still pretty cool because you look at the guys' names that are on that list and you're like, wow, those are some amazing players, which is awesome.
Nick, let me ask you, you got to spend your entire career with the Jets. Not many people get to spend them all with one organization. I know it ended in you getting released. Was there ever a chance that you were playing for another team, or you knew that was it? It was Jets or nothing?
No, there was a chance. I was when I was released, when I was fired, released, cut, however you want to call it. That was in February, and I was still injured, from the previous season. And so I was still doing rehab and I was going through, and it was kind of that abstract of, I'm a football player. That's what I do. I want to go play football. And so I was, looking at all my avenues and everything, and I was getting close. The injury was up and getting better and getting better. And as we got closer and closer to the actual opportunity, I had one opportunity from a team, and it kind of came down to, am I 100% healthy? Would I be the best that I could be? Do I want to leave my family to go pursue this opportunity? Do I want to have another team under my name, or do I want to keep being with Jets? And there was a lot of factors that came in with not signing, and I'm kind of, obviously the check would have been nice. Like you could all use a couple of checks. But
yeah.
I think in hindsight, I'm pretty happy that I didn't, because it is something that I take a lot of pride in, that I played for the Jets. I played for one team in 11 years, and I feel like, that's something special. And so I'm glad I was able to do that, especially with my brother and DeBrickshaw Ferguson doing the same thing, only, playing for one team, coming in together. And nice if we could have gone out together, but, fate doesn't always work out that way. But that is something that I do. There was part of the thought process of whether or not I want to really pursue another opportunity. Was I have one team, and I think I want to stick with that one team. And that was something special that I now, especially with my kids, they got either Ohio State gear, or they got New York Jets gear, and that's pretty exciting.
Hey, just curious, who was the team?
Oh, I'm not going to get into that. You never know. Then
Okay.
there's all the theories and everything. But there was a couple. There was a couple that reached out that August, as well. They were like, "Hey, we're kicking the tires, just seeing if you want to. But at that point, it was just I had made my mind, and I was pretty happy about it.
All right, Nick. I don't want to get quote one of the great Christmas movies, Scrooge, Niagara Falls here, but I want to bring up this story, Nick, that the Jets surprised you at the team facilities, the Ring of Honor banner that's hanging there right now. You got emotional. I got emotional watching. I'm going to be honest. I rewatched it ahead of this interview, and if you don't mind, I want to play a clip from that surprise, and I want to get your thoughts about something. So here you go, everybody. Here is Nick Mangold being surprised and speaking to everybody that was there. Here we go.
I love this organization. I love being up here in this area with our fans, our people, and really, I truly said when I retired that I would do anything I can to help this organization win a Super Bowl. And I mean that, and that's because I want that for this organization, for the Johnsons, for every player that's ever come through here. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it as a player. So, I'm still here fighting for it. But this is, it's remarkable. So.
That still gets me, Nick. I can only imagine it gets you. What did you mean by that? You referenced that earlier in this interview, that you of course you wanted to do it as a player to give a championship to the team that drafted you. But you said even now, like this is post-career when this happened and you get in the Ring of Honor, you want to do everything you can to help the team still get that Lombardi. What did you mean by that?
Really, it's my door's open. We stayed here in New Jersey. We never left. And we ended up moving closer to the facility after I retired because of my kid's school. And so I'm here, and my door's always open. If anyone from the organization, and I do the content and I help and everything. And if there's any little thing that ever comes up, I always try to be available. And so I think that's the main thing. Like those people in the building, like when you saw them, like to me, I was surprised. Obviously, like I had no idea, and like that. I think the big thing was like the banner, because we've had thousands of practices in the facility there, and so you sit there and you stare, like as you're in stretch lines or whatever, or you're in the middle of a drill and it's water break. You're staring at the guys that are up there. So to see my picture up there with those guys was pretty special. And then you see all the people in the organization and all the people that are behind the scenes, because I think a lot of times we as fans, you look at, well, there's the guys on the field, the coaches, and that's it. But there's so many other people behind the scenes that do so much work, that put just as much effort into whatever their job is as the guys on the field and the coaching staff. So I think it would just mean a lot. It's been a while and everything, and it would be something special. And I think it was just reiterating the message that I've had forever, is that my door's always open for anything I can do. Physically, my kids have destroyed me, and I can't play anymore. But anything else is on the table. But yeah, I feel like I've gotten more injured not playing than I did when I was playing.
Wow. So thank you to the children for waiting till post-career, I guess, for that. Your body probably can't tell the difference of pre or post, but from a Jet fan perspective anyway, appreciate waiting for post. But Nick, let me ask you, because, I imagine it was cool to be able to retire and then spend a lot more time with your family. You got a wonderful, beautiful family, 4 children. Like, you got a lot going on there. But I got to imagine after a while, the honeymoon period kind of moves on. Your wife's like, what the hell? Why are you still here? The kids, like, come on, Dad. Like, let's get out of the house here. Could that lead to Jets coaching, front office, perhaps?
You never know. We've started to get that point. So when I was done playing, my last year was 2016. My first year out of football was 2017. We only had 2018. We had our 4th. And she is now 5, will be 6 in September. And I feel like the kids, and maybe my wife to a certain extent, is like, maybe you should find something to do. Like, you're here maybe too much. And so, we've been tossing around different ideas. I think, to me, I do love coaching. I've done youth sports and helping out with my kids and everything, which is a lot of fun. So, I think I'm going to start looking into the coach and see where I can get to. Just because I love the game of football. I very much enjoy waking up feeling good in the morning. So I don't miss playing football, but I still love the game, and it's such a beautiful game, and it's a beautiful opportunity for people to get out and do and be a part of. And so I think I might now, as my kids are getting older and they're getting tired of me, might push me into doing a little bit more in the way of coaching.
Well, I don't make those decisions at one just but as far as I'm concerned, boop, doors open. Come on down, Nick friggin' Mangold, baby. We'll set up that line again to welcome you in. Slap you on the ass on the way in, brother. Oh yeah.
I don't think my resume of third and fourth grade youth football will get me in the door, but it might open the door for like eighth grade football or maybe freshman of high school. You just got to level up a little bit.
That's it. All right, a couple quickies here before we get you out of here, Nick. Again, the Mangold 74 barbecue, phenomenal. We got you guys can order it right now. It is you could ship it right to your house or again pick it up locally in several retailers that are around the block here and New Jersey and the like. I'm curious here, Mr. Nick Mangold, your thoughts on the tush push, brotherly shove. Are you for it? Against a lot of NFL people say get rid of that play, but wonder where you stand as a center.
I'm kind of with Jason on this one, where it was what was his? And you said cursing was okay. I believe.
Oh yeah.
Is it? Yes. I think what he came out afterwards and had a quote. It was like anytime we called it, he was like "fuck my life" or something like that. Like, it was kind of just the rallying cry because it looks terrible. I mean, I get the idea of it, and they do it so well, and obviously it works, but. Oh, that's a lot of pressure to put on the center. Not only get low enough and to have the blast off the ball, but then deal with the pile that's on top of you. And they seem, I truly believe that the Eagles ran it where they lived in we have 4 downs. Like, if it's 3rd and 7, if we get to 4th and 1, that's a win. Like, they weren't always going for the first down. They're like, you know what? If we get close enough to the 4th down, we got the tush. And so, you feel like every game it was 3 or 4 times. So I feel like it would have been a little tricky, and I don't know if I would have loved it that much, but it worked. So in the end game, whatever works for the team, you do.
And what's the thing here? Because the Jets, for whatever reason, the last couple of years, they can't do a QB sneak for the life of them. Fans are like, what the hell? We do it in Madden all the time. It seems almost automatic to make it happen. And us fans are like, what the? So I'm sure it's a little harder than us fans are saying. But what is the secret to a successful quarterback sneak? Because the Jets specifically, and there's been a couple of regimes over the last handful of years in terms of coaches, and they haven't been able to crack the code on a consistent basis. What is the secret to that?
I think that there's two out there. You have the one, it's the surprise attack where you set up for a play, and then if you get the optimal look, you can just have your quarterback sneak through. And then the other one is where you're telling everyone knows, hey, this is where we're going. It's whether or not you can do it. And I think they have a great blend of a fantastic offensive line. They have a quarterback who I feel like I saw some stat said that he squats 600 pounds or something. So you get those legs churning, and you see the guys behind him. It's well designed. I mean, they're not just standing there for looks. They're pushing. They get underneath the pads and add another added element of leverage. So it's something that they definitely thought out. And so I'm more of a school of thought. You hit them with the high side of it, where you line up some play, and if you can get a good look, you take that. Otherwise, you run the play because let's be honest. I mean, you practice plays 1,000 times in August, and you practice quarterback sneak in August, 0. So I was just saying, you can. I'd rather run a play that I've done 1,000 times in August than one that I've never practiced. To me, that's I would much rather do that than because I'm trying to think about it. And, looking back at it, I don't think we ever really practiced quarterback sneak. It was just, hey, push the guy in front of you and let's get a yard. Because I think coaches are always scared of the danger of running a live QB sneak. You don't want to hurt the quarterback. You don't want to get guys hurt and everything. So, yeah, I would always a surprise attack is a much favorable way for me with a play behind it.
Well, and again, I mean, you mentioned that there are two schools of thoughts, right? Like the surprise attack, like you're walking there, whoa, something jumps on your back, like whoa, hey, where'd that come from? But also, you mentioned that there's also the play where the defense knows where you're running, and the Jets know where they're running. The San Diego Chargers playoff game play that they know what's coming, but they can't stop it. Getting some of those vibes, old Nick. Getting some of those vibes.
Some of those vibes, and that worked because that was a play we practiced 1,000 times, and it was a cool thing of that game. Finishing it on the field, being able to say, "Hey, listen, you guys know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, but our will is greater than yours." And that was something special to be able to get that because that was hard fought, and it was something take a lot of pride in that as an offensive line that, hey, even if they know what we're doing, we can still do it.
I'm going to be honest. I imagine that's how you became an offensive lineman in the first place. So you get in that thing that like, hey, I'm going to do this. The defender, I don't want you to do this. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. And you just impose your will physically and say, hey, it's happening, brother. You're either going to hop on for the ride or get off the train, basically, I think. So interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I was a big I played both ways in high school. And I always enjoyed defense, but I think to me, going through it, I think luckily colleges saw that the offensive line might be a better calling for me. But I also think I gravitated to it better because there are strict rules in place for an offensive lineman. Like you do this. If this happens, then that happens, and it's kind of like the chess and everything. So there's a little bit more mental side to it, where the defensive side is like see ball, get ball. And I think I like the mental challenge better. And so I think that's why I took the not only offensive line, but really fell in love with the center position because you're the second quarterback out there. You get to be making calls. You get to be looking at things, changing things up. It really is a lot of fun for someone that likes the chess game that is inside a football game.
And we just talked about that Chargers game. Again, only a couple more before we get you out of here. In 2009 and 2010, and Nick, you know the stat by heart. The entire Jets offensive line played 32 consecutive games in those back-to-back seasons. And last year, for context, that's always important, the Jets used 13 different starting offensive line combinations in 17 games. Did you guys realize in the moment while that's happening? I don't know if there was a certain game that stands out where in the middle of the streak, holy friggin' crap, guys, what the hell? We just completed 32 in a row. And again, I mentioned the Jets used 13 different combinations just this past season. Did you guys realize how special that was in the moment? Or was that something years back later you look back, well, that happened?
No, in the moment, I don't think you know. When you do look back, you realize, obviously we had amazing players on that offensive line between DeBrickshaw, Ferguson, Alan Faneca, Brandon Moore, and Damian Woody. And so you're playing with some amazing offensive linemen. But now looking back on it and you look at it, the continuity, Brandon and I were able to make calls without talking to each other. And that's something that you just get by having that time together. I found it crazy when they announced whatever number it was. I think we got up to, before I broke the streak, I think DeBrickshaw, Ferguson, and I played 76 straight games together before I got hurt. And so like that, to me, it was also something special. It was like, the fact that we're that long before one of us misses a game is a testament to, great luck, because some injuries are just stupid luck. But then B, how we prepared ourselves and how we worked and everything. And so it was, there's a lot of history intertwined with DeBrickshaw and I. And it's pretty neat that we can continue that on.
So, yeah, I guess you just answered this next question. I was about to ask you, what's the secret Mangold 74 barbecue sauce? Wink to that one. Is it the luck and the work and just the perfect balance of both of those in the right form and everything? The players' toughness. I'm sure you guys, despite the fact you guys played 32 straight, I'm sure it wasn't, wow, 100% healthy again in week 16. This is great. I'm sure you guys did battle through a lot of stuff. So I guess it is, again, the Mangold 74 barbecue secret sauce would be that combination of things.
Yeah, it was. I think a big one is the always mentality: are you hurt or are you injured? Those are two big differences. Hurt you can play, injured you can't. But then at the same time, it was when Alan Faneca came in 2008, and he long stretch at Pittsburgh. I think he was going into year 11 when he came to us. I want to say, and watching him and what he did, because that was year 3 for me. What he did to protect his body, the stretching, the hot tubs, the cold tubs, the massages, the different treatments, the ice packs, everything that he did to help him stay on the field, I think really took hold with Brickshaw and I, and seeing how he did it that late in his career. Maybe we could look into that. I mean, we were doing the chambers, the altitude chambers and everything. He had one of those. All the different little gizmos and gadgets and everything to try to keep you, healthy. And that was, I think, a big part that also played into it was just, the fact that, hey, he's doing it year 11. At year 3, I think we can handle it. Let's be honest with ourselves. And so that was a big help, especially for me personally. Seeing him and kind of having my hand held by him and showing me the way. And we were very fortunate because, again, luck plays a big part in it, that you don't, have somebody fall on you or something like that. But, at the same time, there was a lot of work that went into it, the lifting, the stretching, the running and all that. It was a big part of why we were able to stay together so long.
Well, Nick, I have to admit this. I wasn't going to tell you this initially. I had the note on the sheet just in case, but I have a Nick Mangold jersey. That's not the embarrassing part. That's
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm.
It just took me, I'm going to be honest. I've been a Jet fan for 1,000 years, so I get a few silver whiskers in the fellow beard here, but I didn't get it till 2 years ago. Yeah. See, I'm getting them on the side first, and then they're kind of working their way down south.
I know, right? They come in for some reason. They're coming in on the sides a little bit. I'm pre-Santa Claus. Some people are pre-diabetic. I'm pre-Santa Claus.
And I'm not doing just great. Hey, baby, you see those are happening. They're there. I'm not doing any coloring action. It just is what it is. Yeah.
Hey,
the beard is
life.
Just happening. And
exactly.
Well, the embarrassing part is I didn't get your jersey till 2 or 3 years ago. It kept being on the list. Ooh, gotta get it. And then whatever sexy new thing happened, right? Okay, here's where I've got 3 Brett Favre jerseys, right? 3 Brett Favre. Didn't get 1 Mangold to 2 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you to your face here, virtually, I guess. But yeah, that happened. So I just wanted to lay that out.
Hey, listen, it's quite all right. We all move at our different time, and so I have no problem with that. But you saw came around, and so yes. I appreciate that, and thank you for the support. And if I have to say so myself, it is a good-looking jersey. It's not too shabby.
Yeah, I like it. Not too shabby at all. We'll end on this. Super Bowl prediction. We got the Super Bowl Sunday coming up. We got 49ers Chiefs. Who got a stake in the game? Who you got?
I don't have stake in the game. I'm torn. I'm going back and forth. New Jersey opened their sports gambling online years ago, yes. and I really, after I got done playing, I was like a deer in the headlights. Just born. I could barely walk. I had no idea about sports gambling. I didn't know overs, unders, spreads. Right. I didn't get any of that. I honest to God, I had no idea. But since the online gambling and being able to get into it, I've had a lot of fun with it. I've learned a lot more, and I stink. I do know that. I'm not a good gambler. But I'm struggling on this one because the struggle I have is you have Patrick Mahomes, who's a fantastic player, and the Chiefs have a great defense. And they don't really have – they have Kelsey, but otherwise, weapon-wise, they don't have much. but it's Patrick Mahomes. But then you look at the 49ers, great defense, and you list off their weapons. You're like, wow, the 49ers. So how do you not go with the 49ers when you look at them just strictly on paper of the weapons that are available? But then you go back to, well, it's Patrick Mahomes. And so I've been tossing and turning. And today is Wednesday. So we have 3 more days to go, 4 more days. And I still don't know who I'm going with. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I can root for the Chiefs just because I feel like they're starting to get to the dynasty level where you can say, like, hey, they're having a run, we're a dynasty. And I feel like everyone kind of, unless you're like a diehard fan of a team that is in the dynasty run, everyone else hates them. Like, I think when the Patriots started out, and this is probably not a great analogy for a Jets podcast, but when the Patriots started out, you have this young Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. You know, he hasn't had he had success with the Giants, but otherwise his head coach hadn't been doing great. And they go on this run. You're like, oh, this is really cool. And then after a while, they get to dynasty level, and you're like, yeah, no, wait, screw those guys. Like, we've had, like, give us somebody else. We want somebody else. Now, I know Jets fans were saying from the get-go, like, nah, we can do with somebody else. Like, please. But so now, without being in the division and having no true hatred to the Chiefs, but seeing this dynasty starting to brew and build, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that. And so maybe it would be great. And then there's storyline that McCaffrey would be the first. There was something about him and his dad being Super Bowl winners for the San. Yes. There was some stat about that. I thought that was really cool.
Cool.
And so I don't know. There's a lot of storylines. It's just I feel like my pick is going to come in. I mean, if the kickoff I think is like 6:15 Eastern time, something like that.
Yep.
I think I'm going to put my pick in at like 6:13.
I respect it,
and it won't be because I'm looking at like who's not dressing or was there a late scratch or something like that. It's literally just going to be I can't decide because I don't know. Like, I feel like the spread was sitting at 2.5. I want to say, which Vegas is
a little weird.
Scary.
Yeah.
They're scary good, but I would, and obviously I don't put myself on a Vegas level, but I really feel like it's quite the pick 'em because of the great talent that is Patrick Mahomes.
Well, hopefully it plays out that way. We've been very lucky to get a lot of competitive Super Bowls over the last batch of years. So hopefully, to your point, the waffling nature, same as me, as I'm going back and forth. I'm like, F1 Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Patrick Mahomes. No, Patrick Mahomes. So I'm having the same conversation.
Right.
It's the same thing over and over. Yeah.
But then that whole dynasty thing, I don't want a dynasty. Like, I lived through a dynasty, and that stunk.
Yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't have a dynasty. So maybe I want the 49ers to win. I don't know. I might even just let one of my kids pick. Be like, hey, tell me who I'm rooting for today.
Smart.
But if I ask my daughters, they're going to pick the Chiefs because of Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, of course. Yes. Yeah.
My son will probably tell me that I'm cheering for like the Red Bulls because he doesn't know what's going on. And then my oldest son will be like, well, we're cheering for the Jets. I'm like, well, they're not playing. He's like, well, then I'm not watching. So it'll be an interesting Sunday.
That's strong. Well, let's finish off with this, and I have it right here again. Mangold 74 BBQ, and I can't advocate it for enough for all the fans. You have a lot of fans, Nick, from your playing career, and rightfully so for a wonderful career with the Jets. You had in my opinion, you had a Pro Football Hall of Fame career, baby, and I'm looking forward to hopping in the old minivan. I don't have a minivan, but the minivan to go to Canton, Ohio, baby, to watch that induction. But until we get there, we're trying to give you a Hall of Fame post career here, and I love what you're doing here, and I want people to do it. So again, Mangold74BBQ.com. You can order it right now. Support Nick Mangold in his next career and help this launch because, to be honest, Nick, you got a swift kick in the family jewels, baby. With COVID, that hit a lot of businesses. And when you decided to start this puppy up, a world's pandemic. Okay, here we go. Sprinkle that to the mix. So we need the wind in the sails. We need the juice. I think the way to do it is Jet fans. We rally And I think that's a beautiful place, a beautiful foundation to really gain even more traction on this, so more people know about this wonderful passion of yours in your post-football playing career.
And I love it, and I appreciate that. It is. We did our first production rolled out March 23rd, 2020. Not great when you're trying to sell barbecue sauce and you can't see anybody to let them taste it. Doesn't work out so well. But what I do find cool though is every once in a while I'll be out somewhere and I'll get someone will shout to me, "Hey, Nick Mangold," and, usually it's a Go Jets or something like that. But then since starting the barbecue sauce, every once in a while, I love your barbecue sauce. And I feel like that warms my heart like no one's business, because that's something I created and made in my kitchen. And, I want people to enjoy it. So when someone says that, it gives me, I think, even that much more of a smile because someone else gets to enjoy it.
So again, people, check out the website now. It can ship to you. You can see it locally at a bunch of different retailers. I heard to mention them if there weren't so many because of all the gosh darn shelves it's on. So make sure you get it online, Mangold74barbecue.com. Nick, thanks, brother, for hopping on. This was awesome.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, there he is. Nick Mangold, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see